Hi, I'm Libby Vinson with NJACP, and I'm here with Elizabeth Drobit-Blair, the CEO of QMA, Quality Management Associates, Vice President of our board, a very active member of the association. Her family has a storied history with the association, a wonderful part of the foundation, the fabric, leader of our legislative and policy committee. So you're not here to hear me, we're here to hear Elizabeth. Share a little bit about QMA, your role, and what keeps you up at night, honestly, as leading an agency.
Absolutely. So QMA is celebrating its 36th year in business. Yeah. And
congratulations.
Thank you. We are a small family-owned company, and we provide residential and day services in southern New Jersey and also in Delaware, which is actually very useful to see how two states handle the same business. We primarily serve people with severe behavioral issues or severe medical issues, and that adds some complication. We deal with a lot of emergency situations, but that's what we love to do. And I think that if you're mission-driven, you find passion and joy in being able to handle those kind of emergency situations and things like that. In terms of keeping me up at night, we just had our membership meeting, and we've been talking about criticism of providers and how we use our administrative costs. And that wasn't something I was really worried about because it is April and we're very worried about our budget, and my staff would like more money. And we are always trying to figure out how are we going to keep competing with the McDonald's and the Targets and the Amazons of the world. But threats to our administrative costs is also a concern. So in terms of sharing a story, my mom founded this company along with my dad, and she was the CEO until 2019. And so back in 2010, we had a vacancy in one of our homes, and the lady had lived there. She had lived there for 8 years. And she had some severe mental health issues, and she passed away. She had spent her life in an institution. We were able to bring her out of the institution for 8 years, but she had already suffered kidney and liver damage. And so we worked with her for as long as we could, and she passed away, and she was elderly. And the staff there were mourning the loss.
Sure.
It's a family. The women had lived together for a decade. There were 4 women living in that house. The staff there served them. And Jeannie got a call that...
And Jeannie's your mom.
Jeannie is my mom, Jeannie Drobit. She got a call that Adult Protective Services had found an 18-year-old woman locked in a closet in Camden. And her family, her mom was having her own mental health issues, and her uncle was very abusive, physically and sexually abusive. And so she had slipped through the cracks through the children's system. And I understand why. I'm not faulting anyone.
Yeah.
But neighbors reported them. And there was this young woman. She, to this day, she functions at like an 18-month level. So we have a toddler forever, and we love her. She's amazing. But she has intensive needs. And so we went to the staff at that house, and we said, in 12 hours, can we take in a new person?
Wow.
And when you talk about administrative costs, it's not just the DSP's time. There was a behaviorist who had to come in, a consultant for sexual risk and sexual abuse. We had to completely reformat the house. We had to, she's a toddler, so she puts everything in her mouth. So we had to very quickly redesign the entire house to accommodate a woman who is the size of an 18-year-old with the mental capacity of an 18-month-year-old. And it wasn't just the DSPs. It was every administrative person who pitched in and said, this is why we're here. There is a woman, she needs service, she needs love. We're going to have to work through a ton of emotional baggage that's going to come with, behavioral baggage. This woman's been traumatized. That doesn't get captured in the rate.
So when you talk about administrative costs, that story to me does not fit into administrative cost. And I think that is the problem.
Right. But it is, though.
Right. Exactly.
But people don't think about it.
So from your standpoint, what are some of the things that would fall into administrative costs?
Sure. Yeah. So team planning, there are lots of individuals that we serve that their parents or their family members don't necessarily agree with the services that they need. And that's okay. It's an adjustment.
Sure.
Sometimes we have parents who say, well, you should restrain them, or you should take away their iPad. And we have to explain, we function in different services. This isn't your home. This is their home now.
Right.
So having multiple IDT meetings where you have 10 staff in a room.
What is an IDT meeting?
Sure, an interdisciplinary team meeting. And that's giving the parent the chance, or the family member the chance, to have everyone in the room, the behaviorist, the nurse coordinator, all of the supervisory staff, someone from compliance, an investigator. Everyone's collective time. We have several people that we serve. We meet with them every 3 weeks. A parent needs, a family member wants to hear what we're doing. We'll take that time and give it to you. But imagine the salaries of all those people in that room and that time.
None of those things are disconnected to serving the best interest of the individual.
No, of course not.
Right.
We do all of the associated costs too with enabling that to happen, like insurance. I'm so boring. I talk about insurance all the time, but
it's the
you want to talk about staying up at,
evil. We all need it.
I just had the renewal in March, and it's awful. It's always on my birthday too. It's like, dang, it's a great birthday present. But, I sit there and, we have a great insurance broker, and it's an NJACP preferred vendor, and I know he's doing everything he can to get us the best cost, but our staff get injured.
Right.
We serve people with behavioral issues.
Sure.
We had an insurance company that left. It was a great workman's comp insurance company. They left New Jersey. They gave us 2 months notice and said, we can't afford to do this. It's just too expensive with the way the insurance system is set up in New Jersey. We're leaving.
Yeah.
It's called Synergy, and they were a great company. And we had to go back to the drawing board and find somebody else. But that also means an 8% increase. And that was a win. It started at a 26% increase.
Right.
Getting it down to 8% was like, okay, great.
Sure.
You times that by unemployment insurance, workman's comp insurance, the auto insurance,
Talk a little bit about that, because I don't think we haven't really discussed like the transportation and the transportation costs and how and critically important that is for any being that wants to move around this state.
Yeah.
Transportation is a part of it.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to meet with some neighbors at one of our homes, and they were commenting, oh, you got a shiny new van. I was like, it's just $75,000, no big deal. And they said, 75. I was like, oh, easy. That's a low maintenance van at $75,000, because we get them and then we have to kit them out. So we buy them and then we still have to take them to a specialist. And we work with Enterprise to save money. They're our preferred vendor, and they do a great job keeping our costs down in terms of getting us new vans and cycling them out. But every single one has to be retrofitted.
Right.
We usually serve 2 people in wheelchairs. That's a very special layout.
Sure. And
then extra tie downs and all this other kind of stuff. So that usually adds $15,000 or $20,000 onto a van. And then we have to add our camera system. Safety is the most important thing. So we have internal cameras, 2 internal cameras in our vans, and 2 external cameras. So we can watch how our staff load and unload people. So all of that is a great deal of money, and then they get used. The people we serve go to a job or a day program every day. They go out on the weekends. They drive around. It's very hard to find specialists. So if you need to see a special dentist, you might be driving to Monmouth County.
And so these transportation costs are administrative costs?
They're all administrative costs. Yeah. Every time. And I mean, I love our vendors, but van lifts are persnickety. I don't know how else to say that. The amount of times, a staff person has to manually lift a van using a crank pump because you're at Walmart or something and you've loaded everything up, and then all of a sudden I'm not a mechanical person, but whatever it is on the lift goes out, and then they have to pump it themselves. And we all hope they are using the right technique we train them to and don't hurt their back.
That's incredible. That's
different
even
insurance problem.
But that even to the training to that point, like that's not even something that I would think about.
That's an administrative cost.
Yeah. Well, see, there you go.
Yeah, I have staff right now, great new class of people coming in, and today they are spending 7 hours getting van training. How to drive.
Training is an administrative cost.
Yes, training is an administrative cost. So it's 2 kinds of costs. We're paying the DSPs for their time. Mm-hmm. And then whatever the cost is, we have a subscription through our insurance to a service that tests our staff on van driving. They take a computer course first. We pay for that. Mm-hmm. The trainer's training time, all the training materials. We have a room with 20 laptops in it so they can sit and take their classes. That's all administrative cost, but it's training the DSP on how to do their job safely.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it is tied directly. Now, and I'll just say one more thing. I had, was able to come down to QMA because it was in October. It was October because it was Halloween time. Mm-hmm. And we went to one of your beautiful group homes, and it was, I mean, I thought to myself, well, I really need to step up my game at home with my mums, because there were mums everywhere, and the decorations that you had and all the things that you want to be part of your home. I saw there, and I just, all of those extra things that make a home fall into administrative costs.
Yeah, and it's not a cost we can pass on to the consumer. That's the other issue. The individuals we support, it's their home, but it's a rental situation. Mm-hmm. They are renting part of that home with 3 other people or 2 other people. But they don't pay for the wreath on the door and the dishes and all those kind of things. And it has to be nice. That house we bought 30 years ago, but the houses there sell for $1 million now.
Right.
It has to look nice.
Yeah.
We can't be a house on the block.
No, that was a really nice.
That's run down looking or embarrassing. No one will want to talk to it. It has to, I mean, you want your home to look beautiful, but if it's a bougie neighborhood, it has to look nice too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it did. It really did.
That.
And so what would you, really quickly, what would you explain to a policymaker or somebody that's thinking about this?
Yeah.
There's obviously, this is an expensive system. These are individuals and these are organizations. This is an expensive system. So how would you explain to them, how critically important that we can't be tying the hands of providers, what that would do?
Yeah. You first have to always keep in the back of your mind that we went to fee-for-service. We didn't. The governor of New Jersey and the legislature decided to go to legislature.
And when was that?
In the actual transition happened from early 2018 to right at the beginning of 2019. We were officially in fee-for-service.
So we're still fairly new in this system.
But the decision that we did that was to save money by allowing providers to be the judge of the best way to spend money, to allow economics that we all learned in school to take place, for competitiveness in the market to take place, and for providers to be able to go out and source the best prices for the best service. That also meant that providers took on a ton of liability.
Sure.
There's no partnership with the state anymore. No one's backing us up. When I need a new roof, which happened twice this winter. It happened twice.
When we need a roof, so I hear you.
Yep. Thank you, winter. We don't get to go to the state and say, can I please have a check for a capital improvement cost? Right. We source out and we get to choose our own vendor, and we have to think about, all right, well, I want this roof to be good and last 30 years and I don't want to have a problem. The same way we all do in our own homes and the businesses that we privately run. But we were entrusted to do that. So we should be allowed to decide what our administrative costs. We are heavily regulated in terms of the quality of the service that we provide. Judge us on that.
Right.
But allow us to decide where we should put our assets and where we should take this money. And if we're not good at it, we're going to go out of business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So or we're going to get taken over by someone who is better at it. So allow the market to do what it needs to do, but there needs to be some trust and some understanding that we took on a huge liability.
That's right.
We have no one to go to anymore. It's us, our own financing, our own, savings accounts that we have put in place for rainy days. But under the contract system prior to 2018, I think that my predecessor did a great job. But we have several homes that had oil heat, and it really wasn't worth the cost benefit with the state to go to them to change over to oil heat. But in the long term, it costs more money every winter.
Yeah.
They're harder to maintain. The oil's more money. We moved to fee-for-service, and immediately I and our CFO said, how are we going to move everyone over to gas heat or whatever we need to do?
Right.
That's a logical consequence of the market, right? Now I'm in a different funding system. I have to look out for my long-term investment for the people that we support to make sure that they're in a home that isn't wasting money.
Right.
But that's how it works. That's how any other business would work. If you're on your own, you're going to make sure that you're using the most responsible decision and the most cost-effective decision. We do that every day, and I don't think that there's really an understanding of that.
I agree. And you do have an understanding, and you are in this business and understand what it takes to run an organization that serves its individuals well. So we talked about what keeps you up at night, and we'll finish with this. What motivates you?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that keeps you up at night. I can't imagine being in your space, but what motivates you to, after being up all night, going back to work in the morning?
So on Mondays, because we're a 24-hour organization, on Mondays we have very busy days. So I love when Maureen or Libby call on Mondays, but we do 5 meetings.
When I add extra meetings on
Mondays?
Mondays?
We have 5 meetings a day on Mondays because we've lost 2 days. Our administrative team isn't working Saturdays and Sundays. So we have incident management. We talk about our development, and we talk about all our billing and making sure everyone's documenting properly. But something came up in a development meeting 2 months ago where there was an individual who was in a hospital in southern New Jersey. I don't want to give a lot of details. And he had been there for 9 months. 21-year-old guy just sitting in a hospital bed for 9 months. And the hospital had taken him in because there was nowhere for him to go because his grandmother was sexually abusing him. And she took care of him. So it was either put him in a place where he's going to be abused, but he wasn't on a waiver. So literally...
So he wasn't even on...
No. So his private Medicaid, it wasn't private insurance, but insurance was paying for him to live in. It's nowhere for a person to live. It's like a prison.
Right.
The nurses and the staff there did everything they could and really tried to take him. They got him an aquarium. Like they really tried to make his life good, but they had to wait for the court system to find this family member responsible and decide what to do. And so somebody from the state, an emergency case manager, reached out to us and said, this person, they need care now. We're at this point where we can get them out of this hospital, but it's got to happen right now. And it felt like the lady that we talked about before, it felt like that all over again. And I literally said to my team, this is what we do. This is why we exist. Of course we're going to do it. Right. And all the administrative costs and everything we just talked about, whatever, fine. This person needs a life. And he has an aquarium. It's huge in his bedroom.
Also an administrative cost.
Also an insurance cost. Again, the Rue Insurance was not thrilled with that one. But that's how it is. He needed to have that transition, and he's living his life. And he's going to the Camden Aquarium this weekend. He's probably going to be going there every other week for a while because that's what he loves. But that's what we need. That there is a person, that's what we need to get by, is what I'm saying. Like, that's what we need in terms of making this all work, is knowing that we can spring into action. We can provide that service. Someone has a safe place. They're going to have a wonderful life now. We'll help them through whatever trauma they've been through. There is, a horizon that, has a happy future in it. And that's why we do this. So.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for explaining to me. And I think it's such an important, we need to continue focusing on this issue because there is such misunderstanding. And I'm still learning. I really am. So thank you for explaining it. And thank you for all that you do, and give your mom a big hug.
We'll bring her here too.
Yes. She's an extraordinary leader in this space, as are you and your sister and your whole family. So thank you for all that you do. And I appreciate you joining me on my podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.